We're here at the Embassy of Israel in Copenhagen, and I'm Biena, the ambassador of Israel to Copenhagen, and I'm happy to welcome to the embassy Sophi Knutzen, the author of the book Wolf, Ze'ev in Hebrew, which we are launching today in the Schneider Children's Hospital in Petah Tikva, Israel. And so I'm happy that you are here, and I want to give us all the opportunity to get to know you a little better and to get to know the book a little better. So please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Where should I start? Should I begin at when I came to Denmark, or I can perhaps first say that I was born in Belgium, in the northern side, in Flanders, many years ago. And 20 years ago I met my Danish husband and moved with him to Denmark. And I work at the University of Copenhagen, where I teach academic English, all sorts of different courses, presentation techniques, academic writing, reading techniques, and so on. And in my spare time, I write books. When I have time, when I can sit down and devote my time to it, then I write books.
Mostly children's books, right?
Only children's books.
How many have you written so far?
I have written 3 so far. The first one is fairly unknown. It was a story about elves. It's very nice and cute, but it never became very famous or anything. The second one, Wolf, became a bestseller in Belgium and Holland.
Yeah, what prompted you to write this book, The Wolf, I mean? Is there any particular boy or girl that you had in mind while you were thinking, devising this plot, this book?
Well, the reason why I wrote this is actually quite ordinary. I was asked by my publisher in Belgium to write about a problem in society. But I had the manuscript lying in my drawer because I had written it for a completely different reason. I had watched a television program on the Danish national TV, which was about the children cancer ward at Rigshospitalet, the hospital here in Copenhagen. And this was back in 2009, I think, and I was extremely touched by that program. They showed images that I will never forget. And when I had watched that program, I had very young children at the time, so it really grabbed me by the throat. I had to do something with all those feelings, and so I decided to write a story. I wanted to somehow help, and so my way of helping is writing stories, telling stories. And so I wrote the story, and then a couple of days later, my publisher called me and said, could you write a story about a problem in society? And so I sent them this manuscript, and they said, this is brilliant, this is what we're going to use. And then the ball started rolling, and that's basically how the story came alive.
And that was the original version in Dutch, in Flemish, right?
Yes.
And what brought you to the idea, what gave you the idea of translating into Danish?
Well, initially I had absolutely no idea what was happening in Belgium, because the book was just out there in Belgium and Holland. And then suddenly, a year after it had been launched, I got a phone call that I'd won a first prize.
Wow.
A very nice first award. I had no idea that the book was such a success in Belgium and Holland, because the publisher wasn't really very communicative. But it turned out that I had won that first prize, so I had to go to Belgium and celebrate. It was like a mini Oscars for books. And then I thought it would be really nice to perhaps also translate the book into Danish and to publish it here in Denmark. And so that idea started to take shape, but it turned out to be very difficult. For years, 2 years and a half, I think, I knocked on doors, spoke to people, publishers, and asked whether they were willing to help me to launch the book here in Denmark. And that turned out to be really difficult. There was actually nobody interested in publishing it and then not having a part of the financial cake. So that was really hard, until I met the first key person, which was 2 years ago at a Christmas party at the university. I sat next to a colleague of mine who I did not know, Susanne, an associate professor in Danish. And I started talking to her about my dream to translate that little story, but very powerful story, into Danish. And she was listening, she was really, really quiet. And I said, I can't find anybody interested. Either they don't have time or they want to earn money on it, and I would like to have the profit uncut for a Children's Cancer Foundation. And so after a while she started to get tears in her eyes, and I thought I had upset her, but I had not. She said, Sophie, you are not going to believe this, and this is really strange. This is, you know, one of those coincidences which is really, really strange. She said, my son was at that cancer ward that you wrote about, exactly the one that...
At Leeds Hospital?
Yes, the one that gave me the inspiration to write about those children and that place. And she said, my son was there, he's 16, and he spent a considerable time there struggling for his life. And then she said, a week ago, only a week ago, I went there and we needed to get the final results and see whether he was completely cured again. And she said, when I walked into the hospital, I said a little prayer, because if he was completely cured, then I wanted to somehow pay back. I wanted to do something. And then she said to me, and now you sit here next to me, I've never met you before, with your story and your dream of translating this book. She said, you're the answer to my prayer.
Indeed.
And when somebody says that, chills run down your spine. And so together we translated the book, and actually a large part of the book, and I actually think the conclusion as well, the conclusive part, was translated exactly where my inspiration came from, because she had to spend numerous afternoons with her son still afterwards at the cancer ward at the Leeds Hospital, at the hospital in Copenhagen here. And so the book actually got finished there, the translation got finished at the source of my inspiration.
This is an amazing story, amazing aspect of your story. But anyway, how was the book received? And this is, by the way, where we got to know the book, when the Belgian ambassador,
yes,
Paul de Witt, actually gave a kind of a launching event for the book in Danish,
yeah,
on the Belgian National Day. And this is how we came to know about this book and started this project here. How was it received in Denmark? I know, of course, that he got the prize in Belgium, but it was also distributed in Holland.
mm-hmm.
And how was it received in Holland and in Denmark so far?
Well, in Belgium and Holland it got launched at the same time, because it's the same, almost the same language. And then it got launched a year ago in Denmark, and the book was received really well. Schools are starting to buy it, the libraries all have it, and it's slowly but surely picking up. It needs time. What we don't have in Denmark here, which we do have in Belgium, which is a wonderful thing, is library clubs for children, where they organize competitions and games with books that come out in a certain year, and then they have to prioritize them, like the 10 best books that came out this year. They have to then read all of them and then put them in a top 10. And I haven't really seen anything like that here in Denmark. It could be a really good idea to start organizing something like that.
You have the tendency to begin things, so why don't you? But how do you feel about the launching of the book in Israel and being translated into Hebrew?
I think it's wonderful. I think it's so wonderful. And again, this book has made me meet so many champions, I call them, or what do you call them? Ildsjæle. I'm looking for the word now. Burning souls for the cause, and I think that's wonderful. And your wife, Shuli, is of course one of them. She was the one who approached me immediately at the embassy and who said, "This sounds amazing."
I can testify to that.
Yes. She was very enthusiastic, and I feel very, very honored that the book is translated into Hebrew and that it's now launched in Israel. Very honored.
And I have to say, it is noteworthy that you dedicate the royalties to worthy causes, and we're very happy to participate in that thing. Can you elaborate on that? Why do you do that?
I think that's a difficult question. The book was initially written because I wanted to get my story out, and the story is there because I'm not a researcher, so I cannot find any medicine to fight cancer. I'm not a doctor, so I can't help them. I don't have a lot of money, so I can't give loads of money away. So I try to help perhaps with a little story. And I think the story, even though I say so myself, I'm very proud of that particular story. I think even though, again, I say so myself, I think it's a wonderful story. And it really, it can really support a child in difficulties. I think not only in terms of cancer, but also if, for example, they struggle with a completely different problem, like, I don't know, divorce at home or anything like that. I think all problems can actually be tackled by this way of daydreaming, like what I think you call him Adam in the Hebrew version, don't you? Like what Adam does in the book. He daydreams and he imagines he's a hero, and I think something like that can help children to overcome problems. And that was initially the reason why I wrote the book, the story. And then, like I said, I had no idea that it was a huge success, and that that project that I had in mind of launching it in Denmark for the Children Cancer Foundation, the profit all going to the Children Cancer Foundation, only took shape when I knew that it had been so successful in Belgium and Holland, because otherwise I don't think I would have had that idea. And so I just did it, and I think it's nice. It's my little gift to the world.
Well, I want to take this opportunity really to thank you, Sophie, of course, for writing the story, but also the Schneider Hospital here, where we're having this launching event today, the Karen Publishing House for facilitating this dream to come true in Hebrew, of course the family of Bonnie Sofer, who unfortunately succumbed to cancer about a year and a half ago, and his family made available the funds needed, and my older friend, Professor Elisha Baltov, who is not only an excellent eye doctor, but a gifted painter who made available the illustrations for this lovely edition. Your next book is about, it's a Viking story. Mm-hmm. This is thrilling. I attended the launching in your house, and I thought the plot was fantastic. Can you tell us a little bit about your new book, The Viking?
Well, this book is about a Viking boy who lives around 1000 after Christ, and who goes on expeditions to England. We know those expeditions were not very peaceful. And he is very different in the sense that he is the half-son of a god. So I mix Viking history with Viking Nordic mythology. And it's again for children, probably between 12, 13 years old. And well, let's see what it becomes. It's a completely different story than that one there, but so was my elf story. So it's different things that I write about, things that touch me.
Thank you. That was really interesting. Any special message to your Israeli readership, Sophie?
Well, I hope that the book will be welcomed really warmly in Israel. I'm sure it will be. And I hope that the story will make a big difference for many, many children. And of course I hope that it will be sold a lot, so there will be an enormous profit. And then perhaps I also hope that it will maybe be translated into many other languages, you know, that this will be the beginning of a snowball effect that would be really, truly wonderful, and that children from all over the world can be helped with the story.
Sophie Kretz-Knudsen, thank you for coming here, and thank you for all your work.